the Spirit who finds himself in a very tough situation, instead of doing something like stealing from your neighbor or lying to somebody, you can rely on God to provide you a way out, which I will point out, and I don't know if you're here, Sam, I can't see my screen. The Bible explicitly says, and this is one of the most gangster verses, but when you are tempted, you will not be tempted beyond that which you are able to bear. But if you can not give in, that God will provide you a way out. It's a guarantee. It's a promise. So,
is this someone with TBI from getting punched in the head at a party for making a pass?
That I know is evil. I'm saying there's always another option. I'm saying,
are there examples in the Bible where God doesn't tell them what to do?
Well, they aren't necessarily seeking God. I mean, show me a passage where there's somebody who loves God, is seeking God for an answer. It's not something they're doing wrong, right? Their heart's good. Their intention is good. They don't want to sin against God. And they're like, God, I just don't see any other way. Like, I got to do this evil thing that you don't want me to do. Please, God, help me. Give me some...
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Oh, Habibti. Oh, Habibti.
It's only gay if you're catching. See, I heard it's gay if you like it. Like, you can participate, but if you didn't like it, then you're not. Right. So, like, someone like Prince, he would be gay because he'd be enjoying it, even though he could go enjoy other things also. It's also gay if you get asked first. Like I spent a lot of time in the hockey locker room. If I go in and I demand that some other dude show me their bird and then I call him a gay boy, then he's gay. But he better show me that cock. So the rule is don't get asked first. Do the asking. That way you can assert yourself, and that's the straightest thing you can do.
So how do you ask somebody to show you your penis?
You say, show me that bird, gay boy. It's Sounds cool. Yeah, sounds like pretty cool that way.
Scott, when are you going to create a podcast? I like your podcasts on Facebook, Scott. They're great. But when are you going to start asking about your tank?
Continue what a lot of the internet people say. I think the phrase goes, choose better. I don't know. Is that an option? Choose better?
I don't choose black. That's the better phrase.
The son of the Israeli woman and the Egyptian man.
Yes, right. So can you imagine seeing somebody and being taking part of party two, stoning somebody to death? Do you think that you guys are as a person?
Can't imagine.
Yeah, so
Roger Mayhem is back as Taco.
detailed, it's detailed. I never heard that pronunciation before. Really? Like detailed in the report? You never heard that? Tucker Carlson loves to say never 100%.
You hear that? Detailed
But
versus
them to
detailed.
have known that he was sick and let the public know beforehand is going to do damage. And I think that, like, you know, for people who actually want, you know, things to go back democratic, I think that people need to start being honest about, you know.
What is this? Cocky A listening party. So what? We have to wait. Oh, we got 10 minutes till the party starts, Chris?
आपकी कंपनी को मेल किया था ना रेफ के लोगों ने भूल गए ना फिर इसके बाद आप रेफ छोड़ के चले गए थे क्योंकि आपकी नौकरी छूटने वाली थी क्या है यार पुलकित भैया मैन कुछ नहीं मैं कहीं यहाँ पे प्रूफ डाल दूं जिसके अंदर तुम्हारी कंपनी को मेल किया था फिर तुम रोने लगोगे फिर तुम ले जाके पीछे जाके तुम मेल आओगे और कहोगे रीजन हम
There's an error. Does it say that? That's interesting if that's true.
Yeah, that's going to be my claim.
Yeah.
And there's two things. One's going to be...
Sweaty balls!
It's on Critter Gully. Oh my god, it's so funny. Okay, we're gonna see if we can find the taco room, which is going. Can't find it. That was the one account they didn't have blocked. I must have more, don't I? Other ones. Just see what's up with the deluge. Yeah, what's his face? I think Kiss Me. Steve Appel has me blocked like on everything. I think it's the Apple accounts that they did block. Trump is more godly than the Pope. I found it again. Trump is more godly than the Pope. Let's see if we can find it.
You want me to explain, or do you want me to? Yes. Yeah, please do. Please do. We've got all night. Okay, bro.
Pink is back.
What'd you say? I got all night. Yeah. All right. What's the question? This is real. You should look at how did AI take your job? See if it did. AI was just about to say something smart.
Damn, they kicked me.
Well,
See, someone's here.
Hey, Aaron, how's it going?
How long you been waiting?
I don't know, 15 minutes or so, but I'm just.
Oh shit! Sorry. Yeah, sometimes I, get involved in something and I forget that I'm here.
So my question in the chat is, I've heard it said that if you improve yourself, you improve the world. So is the fastest way to improve the world by focusing on improving self? And then also a combination of communication distribution.
Well, let's take the first one. The fastest. No, there's no one fastest way, but certainly working on yourself is definitely improving the world. That's a great place to start. But who knows what you can do past that? I don't know. And what was the second part?
Is it because it's kind of like it's 1 part, 2 part question or whatever, but it's basically basically if you improve yourself, because I'm basically projecting, saying I believe that I'm improving myself and bouncing back the communication and distributing it as intelligently as I can in an attempt to improve.
By improving yourself, you improve all of your communication with other people, and that's better. Period. And on some level, maybe minor, maybe huge, I don't know. But if you're actually better, then you're less of a problem in the world.
You're less of a problem in the world?
Well, yeah, if you work on cleaning up your own bullshit, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of working on yourself, not being such an asshole, being more thoughtful, all sorts of ways we could do that.
Yeah. Every time I pick up a book that I've read many times before, there's always another moment of yikes.
You read books often?
Yeah, I've created thousands of 60-second clips on YouTube of me reading all types of books, Tao Te Ching, Marcus Aurelius, everything. Yeah, so I'm studying all this sacred writings.
Have you seen my bibliography up at the top of this page?
Yeah, I looked at your dojo, and it was pretty amazing. Yeah, I was going to try to read some of it, but then I'm just like, I have come to the conclusion that essentially no matter how many books you read, there's just, let's say, 10 fundamental principles. So it's kind of like, to me, the Tao Te Ching is a very nice compression of essentially Enlightenment theology.
Yeah, it's as good as anything else, I think. It's a little too wordy, but it's better than most. Yeah, that's a long time ago too. We got better ways of talking about this shit now. I mean, if the way they talked about it 2,000 years ago worked, we'd all be enlightened now. Obviously, they're full of shit. All the talk, all the stuff about enlightenment hasn't had much influence yet. I think that's about to change, but.
Yeah, but then that goes back to my first part about personal improvement, because every time I reread meaning that, like, if you can only memorize 3 variables, it just basically then takes a daily renewal. Otherwise, it's like you forget how to ride a bicycle.
I'm not sure I follow you. Well, actually, I'm sure I don't follow you.
Programming is what I'm saying, is the content matters.
Yeah. Go on.
So, if you can find a document like the Tao Te Ching and study it daily, it's, I have many variables.
If you study anything daily with the right intention, you're on the right track. It doesn't have to be the Tao Te Ching. It could be any. Bible would work probably if
Yeah.
you got the right attention, or the Quran.
Yeah. That one book in the Bible, The Preacher, talks about vanity of vanities. That one is always extremely prescient because all of these brain dead language monkey politicians are essentially failing to understand that it's what they're doing is vain.
It's just they're not in the game anymore. They're all trying to maintain the caterpillar. We're here building a butterfly. Fuck them. They haven't got a clue. Hopefully they won't fuck it up so bad that it, really becomes a problem for all of us. They probably will, but we'll see.
Well, they already have in a way.
The millions of people suffer every day on this planet. We don't think about it much in the United States, but
it's kind of fucked up because in 30 years from 1970 they were on the right track, but really I think the events of 9/11 is what fucking took us down the wrong direction.
I don't think we're going. Well, I don't think there is a wrong direction. I think Earth is doing what's happening here, not us. And that what we're witnessing is the emergence of the first global high-tech civilization and the end of the age of nation states and the end of capitalism and the end of all of our old cultural things. We're headed into a new world here.
But how do you delete the programming of the past? Because I'm looking at a copy of Thomas Jefferson.
It's not that difficult. You start by observing it, just like any scientist. If you want to do something or study something, the first thing you do is observe and take notes. So you sit quietly. Some people call it meditate. I meditate with a pen and a piece of paper. I mean, that's one way. And you start noting what the fuck your language machine is saying.
Yeah.
And paying attention to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't take very long before you realize that you're the one watching the language machine. You're not the language machine, and the language machine is very useful sometimes, totally toxic at other times, but you're the one who's observing it. And once you establish that, you can begin to change it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like all conversations ultimately end up, they can be ended by saying, let's meditate or meditate now. And so what I'm often telling people is I say, what you are doing is you're being a communications consultant. And if you really want to be a successful communications consultant, you have to teach the art of meditation. And so, there's so many elements.
You don't have to call it meditation.
What else? What's a good term for it? Mindfulness?
I still haven't landed on something, but it's a technique for disengaging from the language machine. And I can make up a bunch of names for it. Sometimes I just call it sitting. But I mean, that's what a lot of other people call it too. So, yeah. Meditation, I try to stay away from that word because everybody thinks that they've got some idea about what the fuck they think that means. And they're all full of shit.
So I would just like simplify by saying silence now and now silence. But there are times where, I let my mind drift, but I wouldn't really call it drifting. I would say it's like my mind forward projecting.
Are we talking about your mind or are we talking about your language machine?
I would say it's.
I don't know what the hell you mean by mind.
When I say mind, I mean that I am observing my mind silent.
No, what? What do you mean your mind? What the fuck is your mind? I have no clue.
It's me. I'm having thoughts. About things I have to do, basically.
Language. You're talking to yourself.
Yeah, I'm talking to myself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I can talk about that. My language machine. That's a huge part. It's not the entire mind, obviously, but it's a big part of it. A big important part of it.
So, but let's say I play music, I'm no longer using my language machine. I'm basically creating like a hypnotic flow state. But even in that flow state, I guess I still am talking to myself.
Well, the language machine can come and go. I mean, with meditation, it changes your relationship to it anyway. So, your language machine doesn't operate now like it did 20 years ago. So,
is it accurate though to describe it as an interruption of the language machine, or is it more like an on-off switch type of arrangement?
Well, it is what?
Meditation, essentially.
Oh, doing a mantra or something?
Yeah. Interrupting
Well,
the
for
automated
me,
language.
that's the point of a mantra, is to shut down the language machine. If your mouth is busy going ooh la gina, you cannot also be thinking, oh, that asshole at work today, I'm going to tell him off tomorrow. It's a way to it's a blunt force instrument to shut down the language machine. A mantra is powerful,
Right.
in shutting down the language machine.
Yeah, I have this Ohm card. It says it's the sound of all sounds, the universal sound, and the beginning of life.
I've heard that bullshit for 50 years. I don't even
But it's
know
the same thing as saying it's just a mantra. That's all it is.
Well, then why not just say that and instead of all this philosophical bullshit they throw on top of it?
Well, see, there's 4 parts to the Ohm, which is O, and then silence. So this is the part that I didn't, until I saw this card, it didn't really make sense to me. But the 4th aspect, which is silence, it makes it essentially a 4 variable equation. So the silence, again, silence now silence is what I think a lot of these brain dead language monkey operators can't or haven't really discovered in their life, essentially.
Well, no, they're totally identified with the voice in their head, first of all. That's who they think they're doing it. They think that's me. I said that. I thought that. Again, they're all under the spell of the voice in their head, their language machine. 98% of people, 98% of the time, are literally entranced by the voice in their head.
Okay, so then I guess this would be the last, because Alan Watts talks about the organism, environment, organism. So it's not just the voice in their head, it's the voice that they are ingesting, primarily through their cell phone.
Actually, I'm beginning to look at language as a sort of field theory rather than something that's in your head and in my head. I'm thinking we exist in a linguistic field somehow,
Yeah.
And we participate in that field.
Yeah. It's a linguistic word field, because even the Bible says in the beginning is the word. So, So I think, I go into these theist debate rooms on this app a lot, and there's people that create rooms all the time called "Prove to Me God Exists." So I go in there and I say, I can't have this debate with you unless we have one pre-existing compromise or condition, that God is the word. God is the word. That God is the word. That the Spirit of God floats through our minds like through words, essentially.
Oh, well, of course, if they're atheists, they're not even going to accept anything with the word God in it.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that awareness of the Word being God, as opposed to the Godfather, is a much more healthy way of understanding God, because then it brings you back to communication.
I wouldn't say it's more healthy, but I'd say it's less toxic.
Yeah, less toxic. Yeah. Well.
See, I think basically there's a point at which language, you just have to abandon language. Language just doesn't go there, period.
Yeah.
But that's a big leap, and that's scary and liberating and all sorts of things, but most people have to be kind of desperate before they're willing to take that leap.
Well, desperate, wise, or mystic. I mean, Alan Watts definitely embodies the mystic ethos. His entire career is essentially like a mystic.
A weirdo from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, it was Buddhism that got him. I mean, he was brilliant. Anyways, the Alan Watts story is interesting.
Well,
but
he got lucky. He got into Buddhism young. So who knows what else he might have gotten into.
Yep. That's a good point. Yeah, he's I don't know, because anyways, he's fantastic, and he's undisputably, he's prolific.
He's the guy that woke me up. So there's nothing you can say about Alan Watt. I mean, when I reread it now, I don't always agree with the way he talks about things, but it doesn't make any difference because he's the guy that woke me up. So he was doing the best he could back in the 1950s and 60s, and the world's changed a lot since then. There's a lot better ways to talk about this stuff now than he had available to him.
But it's scary. I think it's scary because I don't hear anybody talking about this stuff in my field of communication. I
Well,
don't.
about
Other
what
than
stuff?
you, about essentially enlightenment. I mean, there's other people, but they never really get into because there's a political aspect to enlightenment.
Oh yeah, it's tough to talk about these things. I mean, we don't have a language for one thing. The whole enlightenment stuff is tied in with the spirituality stuff, and it's just there's so much bullshit floating around in all this stuff. It's tough to sort of find some clean way to talk about it. That's sort of what I've been working on is the language side of it. How can we fucking talk about this way so that it works? I mean, because clearly it hasn't worked. They've been talking about enlightenment for 3,000 years, and so where's all the fucking enlightenment? You know?
Well, yeah, George Carlin talked a lot about advertising. I've worked in advertising for a lot of years, so the whole point of this is a word expression that I've recently come up with is that all communication is hypnosis, spam, and projection. And I've really come to the conclusion that I kind of have a real love-hate relationship with this app.
First of all, it's not all. It's like 98% or something, but it's not all.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just simplify it and reduce it as much as possible.
But that's a mistake, I think, linguistically. Just say 98%.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's only 96.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. But the
when
point.
You say all, you're hypnotizing him. You're just putting him in a different trance.
Yeah. The whole realization is because I have this love-hate relationship with this app is that today because I've talked to so many people on this app and
With who? With what?
This app, people on this app. Meaning that I've come to the conclusion that I'm really wasting my time with people because what they're doing is spamming, which is using their brain dead language.
If you're wasting your time talking to most people, yes. So get over it. Quit doing it.
So then that's like
to talk to somebody is either they can teach you something and enlighten you, or you can enlighten them. If there isn't any possibility of either of those happening, there's no point in being there.
Yeah. So basically, that means only 2 out of every 100 people are worthy to actually have a conversation with.
But you don't know who they are. You got to give them a couple minutes to try to. I mean, and that's the other thing is you got to be able to know the difference between people who are actually maybe open a little bit and people who are just full of shit who like to pose as open.
Yeah.
So, but
what's funny though is when you run into business people and they may even have a substantial net worth, they actually have no interest or knowledge whatsoever about enlightenment. And
money, there's nothing you can say. Yeah, they're not even interested. Well, it depends. They're all individual human beings with their own, stories and bullshit and whatever they got going.
Well, then that means they just haven't broken their conditioning, even though they're very financial. Part of it is it's got to be, yeah.
It's just totally irrelevant to this. It has nothing to do with it. Money is neither good or bad in respect to this.
Well, I guess I'm just talking about a specific field of education, essentially. But
what do you mean?
It's basically, it's enlightenment education. I mean, if you study Alan Watts, Tao Te Ching, any of these Eastern, whether it comes from China or India or Israel or it's all, or New Jersey, and it's the Valley Boys or whatever. I mean, basically marketing and communication, advertising communication, you can spot it all the time where people who understand enlightenment or liberation theology or any kind of spiritual practice, they incorporate that marketing message all the time into their branding effort and their communication jingles. It's always about trying to bring your attention to the now. And they do it essentially using memetics and you could say occult sigils, symbolism, and it's a people know that they are using symbols of God or divinity in the marketing communication message, and thus they believe that it has a higher hypnotic and consumer stickiness.
I know nothing about any of that, so.
No, you see it all the time though. It's in all the logos, the Peacock, CBS, NBC, all that stuff.
Again, if you're not paying attention to it, then it's sort of irrelevant. I don't even see. Again, I'm a hermit. I live here with my dogs. I don't go out.
No, I get it.
I talk to people on Clubhouse, and I talk to other people, friends and stuff. But
I'm just saying, communication consultants understand these things and they deploy them for commercial purposes all the time. That's all I'm saying.
Perhaps, yeah, maybe they do. I don't know. I have, basically, I just take each person one by one and see where they're coming from. Groups, again, there's so much variance within any group, that, at least from what I can see, that I just have to spend a few minutes listening to what their language machine is throwing out, and then I have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
Well, I would say that there's something inherent in every human or language machine that from the subconscious to the conscious level, they respond universally to universal symbols like Om, for example, and that sigil, whatever that is, it looks like a girl's butt with like an eye and a moon licking its, tits or its ass, which really points to the naturalistic kind of, I mean, our genetic code is demanding that we baby for countless generations. And a lot of that is in the symbolism and the sigils and in the communication. Obviously, sex sells, but there's lots of ways to represent sex, through different sigils and languages, etc. So it is one of those universal communication keys that is just constantly in the communication field.
Well, like I say, it's just of no concern to me. My focus is elsewhere. I just don't know. I don't have anything to say about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that guy, Doctor, or I don't know if he's a doctor, but Jordan Gruber on here, who has his, his book on microdosing and stuff.
Yeah. No, he's not a doctor.
Yeah, but he has enlightenment.com, so he's in, and he's into, these types.
Yeah.
He was calling it transpersonal psychology in a way, but I don't know. It's all just self-development, isn't it? It's all just self-help, self-development, personal improvement.
It's not all anything you can say. It's not language. What's real is not language. Language is after the fact, and it's very useful. But what it all is what it all is.
But can we really do personal development or even social development without words?
Did I suggest that you can do? No, we are words. Words are essential, but they only operate in a certain limited domain. They're very helpful. They're essential, really, in that domain, and useless everywhere else. And it only goes so far. Language just doesn't deal with certain kinds of stuff. Period. End of story.
But such as what, though?
Pardon?
I mean, if language describes reality, what?
No, language doesn't describe reality. Who said? Where did you get that idea?
I mean, it's social convention that dog.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's not true. Language doesn't reflect reality. Language creates reality.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, we have our perceptions, through a dozen different senses. All this constant emerging, changing flux of shit happening to us every microsecond. And the only way we make sense out of it is with language. We use language to put names on certain kinds of things so that we can think about those things. But that's all done in the domain of language. All we have is our immediate sensory experience, which is inaccessible, really, except as just experience. And then we got our stories about it. And that's all in the domain of language. Very useful tool, but if you're confused as to just exactly what language is and what it can do and what it can't do, it can be really a big problem.
So, I mean, when I think back to college and then my life experiences after college, I can say that if I were to take a class and have spent more time studying ethics, morals, virtues, because I've read Confucius now, and once you read Confucius, I just realized how lacking my moral education was and how formal you can make a moral education and using source documents. And so to me, part of the problem with a lot of people's lives is they find themselves in hot water and trouble because they're not mindful about the law. I'm not talking about.
Conscious about who they are, what they want, what they think they want, what they want to want. You know, people are. Again, we're at the end of the age of Homo sapiens, and we're in. I think really we are a new species emerging. The Homo sapiens had a good run, but it ain't going no further.
Well, oh man, I gotta say AI and what? I don't know, because it depends on the platform. But I'll tell you, Elon Musk and X, and what the AI is doing in X, there is a very persistent flow of communication, which is totally inaccessible and on any other platform. And that communication seems to be driving the narrative, and whatever drives the narrative in a way determines
what narrative are you talking
about? I guess global narrative, because it's not just U.S. communication; it's European, it's Asian. It's really pushing
about mass communication and the message that's going on in that domain.
It's pushing for peace and it's pushing for peace now, which is silence now, basically.
Well, we'll see I'm expecting big changes in the next 10, 20 years. I expect the United States will be gone by then, and we will be well on our way into a new world within 20 years. So it ought to be real interesting.
So isn't that essentially a terraforming theory then?
Well, we have a job. We got to clean up the big mess that the language monkeys left for us. That'll take a century probably.
Well, so what is that? I don't know, because that Maharishi heard him say, like, we need 20% meditators, and that's sufficient. That's critical mass.
That's not. I mean, that'll be good. We need a critical mass, whatever that critical mass is. But what we really need is a new species. We need a planet full of enlightened people.
But isn't everything always a bell-shaped curve and an index? I've never seen anything that doesn't always end up becoming a curve.
I don't know what that even means. No.
Any group of humans always creates an index of data, and that data always resembles the statistical bell-shaped curve.
Okay, if you say so. Well, listen, those things get created in somebody's language machine. But those aren't part of the universe.
I know, but it's like Pareto's principle.
We invent in the domain of language a way of thinking about things. Very useful, but important to remember that's just a map that we made up.
But Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, does always seem to keep coming up in group behavioral, dynamics. So.
Well, there are certain. So what? And therefore what?
Meaning so what I'm saying is, if we hypothesize that 20% meditators can create the global peace and enlightenment, what if that communication is inaccurate and it's actually already taking place, but we're unaware that it's taking place? So our absorption or our theories are actually insufficient.
Well, if we believe our theories, then we're idiots. We should understand that all we have is maps, and that they can come and go out of date. They can be useful today and useless tomorrow. And you always have to check and make sure you got the right map that you're applying. Yeah, but that's just standard procedure.
But what I'm saying is your forward projections about the disintegration of the United States is basically inaccurate, because the now is all there ever will be. And essentially that's saying that there's not a speck of dust out of place in the universe, that the way things are now, there's a 98% chance that is the way things will be permanently in the future.
Well, that's your hypothesis. I think that's insane. It seems to me that everything's changing all the time.
But I can say your projection is insane. It's the same thing.
Well, but of course. But then again, say, you've got your stories running in your language machine. I've got an entirely different set of stories running in my language machine.
Okay, so if you have the contrarian or the devil's advocate at your heels, isn't that why people even communicate, to try to create a silver lining?
Who is the devil's advocate at my heels? What the hell does that
Meaning that I want, as a communications consultant, if I'm worth anything to you, I would want to play the contrarian to your position to help you eke out a little more.
But I'm not looking for a communications consultant.
I'm just saying, in terms of like why I believe people have conversations, which, people are looking for a contrarian position on what they're presenting or suggesting.
Really? I don't think people are looking for that at all. People just want to get laid and have more money and a bigger car or whatever.
Well, that's all dopamine. Metaphysically, it's all dopamine.
Well, whatever it is, I'm just not interested in dealing with most humans, actually. Like I say, they just bore me. I'm not interested in the stuff they're interested in, unless they happen to be interested in stuff that I'm interested in. But I have to listen to them for a few minutes to see if there's any possibility of real communication. Generally, there is no possibility for what I would consider to be real communication, but it takes me a few minutes to figure that out, and then once I figure that out, I can proceed to, politely end the conversation or get into it with somebody.
So in terms of other languages, Arabic, Turkish, Russian, German, and your understanding and knowledge is all in English, isn't there still this whole language divide which is preventing some type of super integration?
Well, no, but that's all handling. English is taking over. I prefer we call it Earthling, not English. Everybody's learning English. I mean, you go to Northern Europe, most of the people in Northern Europe speak better English than my neighbors do. Okay? It's astonishing. And all over the world, everybody's learning English.
Yeah.
It's already the language of science, the language of air traffic, the language of business. That's it.
What was I reading today? I was picked up this book. I was at this girl's apartment this morning. I pick it up, and it's called Tomorrow, something by some girl. The point is, in the front, it says that the typeface is the same typeface that the U.S. Constitution was created by Balance or whatever his name was. I could Google it. But it's from, 1890 or 1790 to 60. So I was like, it's kind of like the Steve Jobs thing where in communication, that typeface is really built on efficiency. Of distribution on the page, clarity. So it's the typeface of the U.S. Constitution. It's been used so widely and heavily in print books, but most people are completely unaware that they're viewing a typeface. So that shows you the lack of mindfulness or awareness that people have no understanding of the framework of the words. I don't know. I just found it an interesting tidbit today.
People don't understand much of anything. They live in a kind of fog. They never go too deep because that's when you start running into interesting questions, and that makes them nervous. So basically, they live in a kind of fog. You have to be very careful about anything they say because they're never quite sure what the fuck they actually understand, but they got to keep up the show that they actually know what's going on. It's pathetic. So that's why it's coming to an end.
So how do you view your life? It's 2025. I asked my great grandfather when he was 105, how did you live so long? He said, I don't know. I won't die. That's what he said. And so even at 42, I view the fact that I made it to 42 as being, pretty lucky because I know I
never could see past 40.
Yeah, I know all these 18-year-olds that died in Afghanistan, Iraq, never lived a life, and I'm thinking, you read the Tao Te Ching, and it says that those who die in war never had life in them. So it's the book really is to me a significant book in self-revelation or self-exploration, self-improvement.
Obviously, this book has had a profound impact on you. You were right for those words, and they landed.
Yeah, it seems to really. I don't know, it's just a special book. It's the second most translated book in human history.
Yeah.
But, that's the thing is, to me, it takes a book, it's external programming, but without that book, I wouldn't have that awareness of this type of mystical understanding about a life, because otherwise I'd be so propagandized and politicized that I would never have gotten to the metaphysical point of, the one now, or silence now, essentially, or basically meditation. There's this coexistence room on this app where this Jewish Israeli guy in Israel brings in a lot of Palestinians and Arabs and Muslims and Jews, and they all have their, yelling match for hours and hours and hours. And I told him, I was like, you need to reframe your room as in how to learn the art of meditation or how to create peace now, because you're not even framing it correctly. You need to essentially be a professor, be a teacher, be an educator, or a communications consultant. Otherwise, if you don't frame it correctly, the people in the audience aren't going to really learn anything, and you're not going to program them with anything that they can leave your room with that is of great benefit to them in their life. So you're kind of creating a dance for people, but it's like Fight Club. It's not a dance, and it's not an educational theater. It's just a Fight Club. And I'm like, so I'm just...
Well, he obviously knows what's going on in his room. And if he didn't like it, he could change it. But that's what he wants.
Yeah.
That's what he's created.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people on this app do.
He just has to have another idea.
Well, I hope that by going into the room and trying to give him my opinion, it, changes his behavior, but I know it won't. But
Well, then don't waste your time.
Yeah, I just like to, I see, I'm always spewing the same self-actualization bullshit, but I find it to be a good reminder of, useful communication. And I think some people appreciate it on this app.
Well, yeah, but the challenge is to find those people and talk with those people. Otherwise, you just, nobody gives a shit about this stuff. Really, 98% of people, 98% of the time, don't give a shit about any of this stuff. If they're not coming to you asking questions, they're not listening. That's the challenge, is to get them to ask questions, and good questions. And once you make that your goal, you can begin to learn how to do that.
Yeah, well, that's why.
If they're asking questions, then you can actually make some progress with people.
Well, that's why I go back to 98, as you pointed out and corrected, 98% of communication is spam. And I...
Yeah, whatever. It's
Well, I just like to remind some people who always ask questions as opposed to saying something interesting, profound, or intelligent to demonstrate the comprehension of what they're trying to demonstrate through the question. And I find those people to be problematic for themselves, and they don't foster or create environments for people on this app that want and need peace.
Yeah. So what? So now what? Give them that. What?
Well, it always goes back to meditation and peace now. I just don't see a lot of Christians and other people who love to espouse their all or nothing theories. They don't create peace real time. It's crazy.
No, they're all a bunch of fucking brain damaged language monkeys. Get over it. They're robots, just running the programs in their, in the neural net that's crinkled up inside of their skull. There's nobody home. Move on. Don't waste your time talking with them. You're just polluting your own language machine with their bullshit.
Well, if you look at, ever since movies, basically the black and whites, the 20s or the 19, whenever movies came out, humans around the world have been creating so much spam and communication propaganda hypnosis that it's almost, in a way, a majority of the entire economy. Really, we live in this information technology, but it's really like a communications
Listen,
platform.
this is really getting tiresome. What you're doing is just going through an analysis of the caterpillar and how fucked up it is. Yes. So fucking what? We gotta build a butterfly here, not whine about the goddamn caterpillar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to make the butterfly. I try to do it every day. I'm living in peace and love and
Well,
joy.
but all you talk about is how fucked up the caterpillar is.
So
And that ain't pushing anything forward.
well, then what? This will be the last thing I'll say. But years ago, after coming on this app and having so many conversations, I came to believe that that basically, I kind of lost it, but anyways, it's always a fascinating conversation talking to you.
Listen, you're a punk kid still, so you got a lot to learn and grow, and you're doing it. You're learning and you're growing. And you're doing a good job. Keep it up.
Oh, this is what it was. Is that all communication is essentially people trying to describe the situation as accurately as possible, which is the combination of the environment, organism, environment. So that's, in a way.
Well, that's bullshit. That's not the prime. You're saying that's the primary, intention in people communicating.
Well, yeah, because that's
an accurate description.
In a way, because people are trying to accurately.
No, they're all trying to manipulate everybody. They're trying to hide what they think is the real thing that's going on and trying to manipulate people into doing the shit they want them to do.
Right. But for me, I find that my manipulation is to describe the situation as accurately as possible, which a lot of people can't do.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. Being an accurate describer is a powerful thing.
Yeah, but then it brings up the point. There's two options. Well, yeah, we just basically laid it out, but it's almost it's surprising. I think that a lot of people are unaware of that. But
it's not surprising once you've seen it for 50 years. It's obvious. It's not surprising at all. Most human beings are brain damaged language machines. They are under the spell of the voice in their head. They're totally identified with the voice in their head. They think that's who they are. That's most people most of the time. There are moments when they are awake from that, but it doesn't happen often, and they're usually pissed off when it happens.
You know, Alan Watts, I couldn't understand it for a while when he was talking about ferry boat operators and how government and religious organizations limit ferry boat operators. And he says, let those who want to operate a ferry boat, but if you're too dumb to get on the ferry boat that has holes, that's a you problem. And I just found that to be kind of funny, because that's the dilemma that we're still in. You know, Alan Watts had all the updated accurate diagnosis or ways to describe the situation. It's so prescient today, but I just, in terms of when you see all the communication coming out of all the leadership, I mean, having gone through the military, it's constant stressing of leadership.
I don't want to hear any more of this bullshit. Like, I don't know what you're telling me. Come on.
Well, I mean, I hope you think I'm being accurate in my description.
How fucked up the old system is. It's fucked up, but it doesn't help to whine about it. Let's get on with creating a new world and quit.
Yeah, I'm doing it in the background. I mean, but here I'm basically essentially rehashing my thoughts. So I appreciate you for listening to my updated version of myself right now. I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah. I'm getting less tolerant of it in the future.
Anyways, I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Okay, man. Listen, you're welcome.
Right now.
Being sneak.
Oh, I have clinical anxiety. I have.
So do
I
I.
had suicidal thoughts. Look at me, I didn't kill myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not.
But did you think about it though? All the time.
Yes.
Wait. If you want to read that back, I definitely almost killed myself a few times.
Hold on, Dwayne. We're talking about pregnant women. Hold on one
I'm
second.
supposed to be actually doing it though.
Dwayne, one second. Dwayne, hold on. So yeah, it's very normal, and I got scared close to the end when I thought about it.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody else died besides him, but like they said, like he didn't really do any damage to like any of the fertility part of the
Roger returns.
Scarlet Knight.
Where did the pink taco go?
Oh, it's fucking Andy Warhol. Look at this. Here we go.
No.
You know, they said everybody was going to have 5 minutes of fame, but really it's 15 years of fame because everybody's going to be here for 15 years on Clown House. You know it. I know it. There's no
Yeah, but
quitting.
Roy Vassini actually is coming off a little bit more feminine in this role. It's actually
Oh, Kitty,
different
can you
here.
send me another photo of your titties with a bottle of vodka?
I will, actually. Oddly enough, I'm in a tank top holding a bottle of vodka. Now I think I have a drinking problem. I'm going to go ahead and set that down. You win.
I'm an ass man myself, Kitty, so we can't cooperate on the love
I
thing.
exactly. So I got nothing for you. You'll have to roll on to the next one.
Did you show Roger your pink taco?
Oh God. Is that Roger?
Yeah, pink taco's the new Roger.
I wish Roger was here.
Scott, I love your Facebook post podcasts, by the way. Great work. All those years in college are paying off. You got like 400 views.
For beating the shit out of the creeps on Clubhouse. You just really don't
You're
get
so
it.
angry, Kitty. If you only loved yourself more, you wouldn't be so aggressive with everyone.
Oh, no. I do love myself plenty. And basically just about every on the stage, and I haven't really checked out the listening lounge. You're the only one that seems to be consistently annoying me.
Maybe you and Roivas should go out on a date. He's recently single.
Oh, God, what's wrong with you?
I hear Roivas is tall. I know you like tall men, Kitty.
Okay.
What is this new character thing you're doing?
Yeah.
It's my Andy Warhol impersonation. Do you like it? I just finished a new painting with Basquiat. I blew him in the back room.
It sounds like more. No, I love it. It's like an elderly white woman, maybe Jewish, but maybe not. With that like.
A woman shot me in the stomach. She wrote a book called Scum: The Society to Cut Up Men. Have you heard of it? I was murdered by a woman.
It was a movie about it called I Shot Andy Warhol.
Who shot Andy Warhol? Do you want to come to the Silver Factory sometime and shoot a video with my autistic video camera?
I'm technically like the updated version of Andy Warhol because I live.
Watch you film the Eiffel Tower for 16 hours and we'll watch that.
That would be cool. We could see Emmanuel Macron walk around holding hands with the King of Albania and then with Alexander Soros and have a big dinner in the Palisade. And, oh my gosh, the world is run by.
Maybe the CIA can organize a big art show for us.
Oh, it'll be. We're gonna do it all over again, Roivas. You and me and Kitty. Kitty, quick, take a picture with a vodka bottle in your Civic and show us your tits. I'll publish it on. I'll publish it on. Overstack.
No, take your time. You'll get there. Go ahead.
What's that stupid app called? Substack. Yeah, we'll publish your tits on Substack. So anyways, where's Roger? I mean, I was so happy to see he was back because I just love filming Roger Mayhem podcasts. They're always hilarious. I've realized, though, it's basically a cat playing with a ball, and that ball is generally a young black man that people pick on because his IQ is in the gutter. But, you know, I think it's like the Jerry Springer show. you know, or the
Is there
Steve Will
anybody on
culture.
Clubhouse that you like enjoy speaking to?
I like everybody's role and character. Don't you understand the pantheon of characters in the society known as Clownhouse? You're one of
I will
them.
say this much. I know. I will say this. I use it. I use it whether you're in the room or not now. I'll even use the little emojis in the chat for Farmhouse. A lot of people are saying it. You've actually accomplished that for sure.
Well, it's a spam generator, and that's what I've realized, is that if you want to consume spam and waste your life here, you're a spam eater. 99% of everything you hear on here is just spam creation. It's a waste of time. And it's a self-roast as well. It took me a while to figure out the spam aspect of this, because you don't typically associate people with verbal spam. You typically associate it with, you know, email spam, mainstream media spam, whatever, other kinds of spam, but you don't view people as spam generators. Now I'm viewing everyone here as actually just, you know, professional to semi-professional to terrible spam generators or spam creators. Technically, everyone is a spam creator, and some people's spam sucks more than others.
So why are you still on Clownhouse?
Because I create spam myself. I just don't think my spam sucks as much as your spam. I think your spam sucks.
But nobody agrees with you though, you know?
I know, but we're all entitled to our opinions. That's life. You didn't figure that part out yet? I think your spam sucks.
That's true. That's totally true. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I'm basing it on like people in the room. Like for example, Uncle Steve just got on stage. Now you can see him do Ask a Christian or Ask an Atheist or any even his podcast, and you'll see, generally speaking, a decent amount of people show up on a consistent basis.
Okay,
now,
I think your spam sucks, but I think Steve's spam sucks less than your spam.
I know you don't want to hear this fact, but it's a fact. I've seen your little thing pop up in the hallway, and it's just you, by yourself, by your lonely.
Oh, by my little lonely self creating spam. Oh.
I mean, it is what it is.
Well, you're so accurate. You're so accurate at diagnosing me and analyzing my room.
Look, I'm telling you, I've even tried to show up for you. You know that, buddy. There for a while, I was like,
Listen, Kitty, the point is, I'll say it again, your spam sucks. I think my spam sucks less than your spam, which is like saying, I think Rodney Dangerfield is funny, George Carlin is funny, but I don't think you're as funny as they are, and their spam is a lot funnier than your spam.
I'm okay with that. If that's the case, I'm okay with that. I've got way bigger things in life than to worry whether or not.
Really? You do? You create a lot of spam here.
Yeah.
What do you worry about in life?
I think there's other things to look forward to talk about, to do.
Really?
That one Clubhouse.
It's all just spam.
Some of the rooms have been interesting. Like, I don't know. I don't agree with you. Like, yours
Really?
No, sometimes they were. In the beginning, I will say this much. When you were on Instagram, not on Instagram as much. When you were, like, pushing it out through Instagram and you pop into some of the rooms and heckle some of the people.
But not so much anymore now. Okay, got it. Thank you for your spam submission.
No. Just try
Your
something.
spam still sucks. That's why I gotta move on to another room with other spam, because your spam is really low IQ stupid spam.
Okay, I guess that.
I mean, Kitty,
right.
you
Bye.
call Kitty, you call you call yourself a Christian, Kitty, but I've never heard you read the Bible. You have nonstop bullshit conversations about nothing. You create spam. You're a spam creator. When was the last time you read a book, Dr. Kitty? Hello? When was the last time you read a book, Dr. Kitty?
You're too interrupted and you're too loud. You need to take it down.
I'm just asking you a question, Kitty.
You want some of my vodka? It might slow you down a little
No, I don't want any of your vodka, and I didn't want any pictures of your titties either. I'm just asking you a question.
You should, and stop.
Kitty, I gotta go create a room and sit in a room and by myself and play a video. I'll be back. Enjoy your vodka. Take care, Dr. Kitty.
there was a mod to kick it.
Ah, they're gonna kick. They know I'm roasting you, Kitty. They're laughing at this.
Yeah, the room had a ton of people in here when I got in.
Kitty, do you realize how many hours you've spoken on here and how many hours people have given their lives to listening to you, Dr. Kitty?
Really? Yeah, I know, right? Well, at least, I mean, as sad as I feel about that, it's saving them, sparing them from having to hear your rooms. Because
you're saving them from me. I thought you were saving them from eternal damnation and hellfire because you're a Christian preacher.
No, we're as above, as below. And hypnosis, right? Is anybody bought into
big tits and a big ass is what you're saying.
Hypnosis.
Yeah, just say hypnosis and you'll put people in a hypnotic state. Just say hypnosis over and 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 over. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Literally everyone just left the room.
Oh no, I killed another room with my positive vibrations.
Yeah, it's not that positive. But anyway, with all this fun negativity, I'll see Scott.
So, Kitty, how would you summarize what we've talked about for the past 20 minutes? Is this comedy?
Ping me, but this is.
Why did you ping me in the room if you don't even want to talk to me?
I have pinged you before when it's interesting rooms. You don't show up unless it's something that you can disrupt, like destroy.
Well, through destruction comes creation.
Okay.
Oh, Andre's here. He speaks with Elon Musk. He must be a very intelligent and important person. Hi, Andre. Do you have anything interesting to tell us about today? Any cool opinions or pontifications that you think are so intelligent and interesting, one word at a time? No, didn't think so. Cat got your tongue. Just another reptile. A velociraptor, they call him. So, Scott, what's going on with your podcast? I've really enjoyed the Facebook posts. I thought the interviews were so intelligent. I was really impressed. It's very professional. I think you're going to become famous and get a couple million views and go on some type of Dr. Jordan Peterson tour one day. From Andy Warhol's lips to God's ears. Hello, Scott. Hello. Oh, Roger Mayhem must be having an after-party VIP room with select Clown House people. Because all the cool kids come to Clown House.
Do you guys want to hear it? Yeah.
Like, I can admire Kentucky Talk, even though, like, a lot of...
What do you think about the million Arab Palestinians going to Libya? Bye!
Okay. I'll try to read the speed of your thought, not mine.
Oh, speaking of Jews.
Speaking of Jews,
No.
I give you Jewish derangement syndrome.
Appropriate, and that's just it. We tell you what we do and not what we don't know, and yet I'm telling you, in the opposite case, Trump's doctor got out there and said something that's a straight up lie. He's not 225 pounds.
When I spoke to him,
Trump ain't 225.
So this doctor cannot just come out and say, let me tell you everything that's in his medical profile. And I'm not.
Don't talk about AI. Literally, he's on an AI detox program.
And speak about his findings about whether or not he had dementia, whether or not he was fit to serve. He wrote that letter and did so. He also was able to speak about the things that he did have going on, like the cholesterol, like the acid reflux. There was a couple of other things that he named.
All communication is protection.
And not said anything, period. That's his right to do so. But he did it based on the conversation around whether or not he was cognitively able to serve, just because he had a bad debate, just because he's old, just because he's walking we see him he's falling asleep all over the place. He's just now starting to go out and do things internationally. And what's happening? He's on TV sleeping. So everything that you guys did to Biden and my colored purple fingers is what you guys are going to see because he's aging while he's in the White House.
If Donald Trump starts tripping and falling,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
oh man, no.
Kick Lazo out of the room. Lazo, you hate racism. You care.
I have a serious question for the room. Jonathan, may I have the floor?
Oh, sure, let's go.
Am I real right now? I think I woke up this morning. So, Dr. Catherine, in your formal professional opinion, if I feel that I woke up and my son came in and said, Mommy, get up, but I didn't really get up, is it possible that my son lied to me and I'm still sleeping? I'm unsure. Am I fit to exist? I'm not sure. Somebody help me, Jonathan.
You can't help me because you sound like you lost your mind.
Well, that's what Marty sounds like. I just wanted to give a real-time example. I'm just as confused as you are. So, Dr. Catherine.
No, JP answered it. JP literally said what I've been saying the whole time. Perfect.
I tried to put myself in that mindset, brother. I'm trying
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. This is a new me. You're welcome. I'm still confused, by the way, but I'm willing to.
By all means, we all get confused from time to time. Hell,
I'm still asleep, apparently. I just asked my son. He confirmed I'm still asleep. But I don't know if I can trust my son. I'm just saying, like you said, he could be lying to me and,
Hey, listen, you guys gotta agree with me, but literally everything you guys are saying is literally proving my point, so I'm good. I'm literally good. You gotta grasp, that's okay too. But everything you guys respond with proves the point even more, so I'm cool. I'm chilling.
Well, not just that.
Let's get to some other people, man.
Yeah, well, that's my point. Did you even look at the poll that's up right now? The poll that's up right now. And we absolutely encourage you to please participate in the poll. The poll says, do you think Biden served during his last year of presidency? The room agrees with you by a majority. So let's go, people that are asking for more voices to participate in this conversation. Because I don't know if you somebody's sweating over there with 10 Democrats. 10 Democrats, one conservative. Y'all better help him out. Back to you.
Hey, look, we good. We moisturized.
Oh, he got on camera for us and everything.
Yeah, we moisturized, but we ain't sweating. I don't sweat under pressure. Look, it's all good. Please, other people speak up. Like I said, I might start fumbling a few words, but my point was made, and I'm glad JB spoke up because he didn't even realize he just brushed it right up for me. So appreciate it. Please, somebody else, 99 of y'all on this stage, I know y'all got something to say. Let's talk about it. Because Byron ass was not fit to serve. He was not fit to serve. And Trump was not 225 pounds on his best day.
Hello, everyone. My name is.
I know y'all gonna bring it back up.
So Biden wasn't fit to serve. Have you seen Biden out and about since he left the office?
Kind of.
So you've seen him stand upright on his own, interact with people. He went to see Denzel Washington. Has there been anything that would indicate that he is not operating at full cognitive ability at this age?
What I will say is the cameras are definitely still on him. He's not insane in the spotlight anymore, especially the way Trump's running right now.
He's still in the spotlight because
he is just
book is coming out and talking about him.
Every one of those times you mentioned it was documented. No, none of these things seem to be apparent, but he's also no longer the president in the White House.
He was actually more shielded when he was the president and in the White House because, as you took about an hour to confuse us all and say, he was the president, so therefore he could have been shielded by the Democrats and by others, but now he's just former President Joe Biden. So he's actually more vulnerable now than when he was actually president. So like I said, your premise is that he was unfit to serve during the last year or at some point during his administration. We've all seen Joe Biden out and about looking very happy and gracious, which is how a lot of presidents look when they actually leave the office, right? So is he unfit to, does he look like he's got cognitive decline, dementia, confusion, doesn't know where he is he falling down? Anything?
That's the thing. No, in the times that I've seen, in the short clips that I've seen of him being out, my answer to your question is no. But once again, I personally believe you're no longer in the White House. You literally just said it. Most presidents, when they come out, boy, they look happy. They on the beach. They vacation. They chilling. I've never been a president, but we see it. We hear it. It's a very stressful job. So even though he may still have some medical issues right
Randy
now,
Johnson clowns the
as
during
a
the
parent,
song with
and
Jerry
as
Chicago during the
he's not
vacation.
in or I every day like he used to be when he was the president. I can't say that. Does he still get media coverage? Absolutely. He's the former president. He's Biden. But right now, for as little as we're seeing him, does he look unhealthy? No, he's an old man living his life. But he's no longer president. So I would automatically assume some things won't be as bad as they made it when he was constantly on the go as the president.
So you're saying that cognitive decline comes and goes depending on.
That's not what I just said.
Well, that sounded like what you
I didn't use the word cognitive decline, and even you want to look at that.
When you say he's unfit to serve, what did you mean?
Okay, for judges of the state, there is one state that offered a very modest $220
saying he was
million
unfit
grant.
to serve has nothing to do with what we're talking about how he's living right now. Him, how he's chilling. And I literally just said, we've seen him a few times. You mentioned those few times. I said, yeah, but nothing of what I'm seeing about Biden right now can I say, yeah, man, I can still see he looking crazy. I'm not, where do I see Biden like that? He's no longer running the country. Yeah, he's kind of out of the spotlight, not completely, but I mean, like, why would I say, oh, nah, the cognitive decline, you can turn it off? Like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all.
So he wasn't fit to serve.
But he wasn't.
By what metric was he not fit to serve? Because you can't say he's fine now, but he wasn't fine then. If he had dementia or cognitive decline, these things
I didn't say he's fine now, Nikki. I didn't just say he's fine.
He's not fine now, but you just said he was.
say that, though.
So what signs to you were indicative of the fact that you believe he was unfit to serve during his presidency?
Oh my goodness. Every time Biden spoke, and I know he had a speech thing, completely understood, Biden was beyond stumbling over his words. When Biden would be in a room and the uncut version, beyond what they show you on the news, what you're seeing on other media outlets, the uncut version, Biden is in a room, everything is moving around. Biden is literally like there were many signs. I don't have to live like many different times on many different clips of we've seen him uncut, unfiltered, raw, and you see he's not there. He's clearly not there. Like he's talking to you slurring. He's quickly forgetting what was just said to him. Like in his walk, like I said, I'm no doctor. I'll never pretend to be one. I'm no physician. I'll never pretend to be one. But I can also say, with my own two eyes, from what I was seeing, that was not even him and Trump are the same age. Can we honestly say them two move the same? Can we honestly? I don't care how you feel about Trump. I don't care how you feel about his policies. But if you can say that him and Biden, being at their age, they move the same, talk the same, have the same physical being, you're lying to yourself.
So wait, you're saying he doesn't need to walk on one side because the president, governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is in a wheelchair. So he doesn't have the same physical abilities as Donald Trump, like when we let's be honest, Trump, it seems basic to me, but clearly the DNC didn't think he was fit to serve going forward. And so they
took the chances on Kamala. So if that never had happened, I can understand his argument a little bit better. But it was clear to many Americans, not all, of course, but many, that, he was in cognitive decline. I don't see why that's so hard to admit. When one is out.
That was
Then he would still be
great
cognitive
point.
decline
Hold
now.
on, Nikki. Hold on. You know that was a hell of a point, Nikki. Can you answer that?
No, it wasn't, because it's conjecture. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. If my mother had married a billionaire, then I would be a billionaire's daughter. This is what this sounds like. It sounds like you're trying to think really, really, really hard to make something true. If I submit that we have told you, because you didn't know this yourself, that both Wilson and Reagan showed clear cognitive decline. Cognitive decline is what would impact your reasoning. Number one, the president is surrounded by people that should be guiding his decisions, because that's how our democracy works. We do not have a dictatorship, right? Donald Trump operates on, I'm going to make these decisions by myself, which is why he miscalculated like the tariffs, right? Because he was going on his own and he didn't know what the hell he was doing, right? So if we've given you two examples of during U.S. history when it was apparent and clear that something was wrong with the U.S. presidents, as people who promulgate Make America Great Again, well, this is what America has always done. We protect the president at all costs when they are in office, whether or not you feel that they have had some sort of cognitive decline. So if you don't like how America has protected its presidents, including Biden, well, it's Haitian Flag Day, Marty. Maybe you need to go back home. I don't know what else to tell you. That's how we want. Nobody think America great, right? Goddamn now.
I appreciate you saying that.
God protect our presidents, please. Whether they have dementia or Alzheimer's or prostate cancer. Amen. The end.
All right. You just said protect the president at all costs.
The problem is they couldn't protect the president during the debate. The man couldn't answer questions. I just listened to you, Mickey. You're very articulate. You're a great debater. You have an answer. I don't agree with some of the things you're saying, but you have an answer. The man couldn't come up with an answer during the debate. He stumbled. He fumbled. He took off 2 weeks before the debate. What else do you need to know? He shook hands with people that didn't exist. He walked off stage in different directions. He was with the G7 summit. They all had to kind of gather around him. The evidence was obvious.
So, Andy, that's not true. That's not true. At the G7 summit,
Let's let him land first.
He stopped talking, John.
No, he didn't. He was talking.
I mean,
Actually, he stopped. Go ahead.
The bottom line is that the president of the United States has to be able to stand up. He has to also be a cheerleader for the country, but he has to be able to stand up and answer basic questions that are thrown out by him by people who are monitoring debates. He could not do that. I saw it, you saw it, the world saw it, the Democratic Party saw it. This was not like a MAGA's decision to get him out of the race. This was the decision of the Democratic Party. And you know how there was a room the other night. Did Biden fuck the Democratic Party? Yeah, he did, because he was the one who said he endorsed Kamala. That's how he fucked you the party. Had you actually had like a fast food or like a speed dating primary, we would have got to see a lot of capable people. And I think it would have been very much different. But that's how I see it. It's okay to admit he's 70 years old. 80 years old. You know, the difference between Trump and him, and Trump and most people, Trump never smoked a cigarette, he never smoked a joint, he never did a drug, he never drank alcohol. That doesn't make him smart. That makes him it makes him drug free. And that makes his body, even though he abuses it with the McDonald's and the high fructose corn syrup and God knows what else he eats. But, he has those things going for him. And those things are factors in one's decline. Anyway, now I'm done talking. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
So, as I was saying, at that G7 summit, clearly you look at all the videos because there was someone calling him, and that's why he walked in the direction that he walked. That's number one. Number two, he did not have 2 weeks off.
before a debate. He had just come back from the G7 summit. He came back with an actual cold from that particular summit. So there was no 2-week break. And then by all accounts of everyone, Biden answered the questions that was posed to him, and Donald Trump did not do so at all. So yeah, that didn't happen, Andy, at all. Biden answered all the questions.
Andy, mute up, Andy, please. You mute up. Let her finish.
You can go ahead, John, because it's just broken records at this point.
I just heard you speak much better, much more articulately, much more forcefully, much more passionately than Biden did in his last year, or even beyond that. You know, I mean, listen, he wasn't fit for the job. You could call him in mental decline. You could call him he never really was fit. You could call him, you know.
Andy, let me ask you a question, Andy, because because. No, I'm not getting it. Because you say you heard her speak more articulately than him, and Biden had mental decline. So it's not surprising. Why is it surprising that Rochelle could speak much more articulate than him?
I think half the people. I think everybody in this room was a more articulate than others.
Okay, so why is that noteworthy?
Because he's the president of the United States.
I
really truly believe that should be one of his qualities, to be able to answer simple debate questions moving forward.
But he did answer the questions. That's the crazy thing. Trump didn't. Trump did not answer the questions.
One mic, guys. Scott, don't do that with this podcast, or I will bar you forever, bro. Don't do that during this podcast. Go ahead.
I think it was universally accepted that Trump won the debate by CNN, by MSNBC, by Fox, by a lot of people. So that's just not my opinion. That was the opinion, I think, overall. Now, you could have said everything out of Trump's mouth was a lie. I'll give you all that. But you could say, who had more energy? Who seemed like they were actually ready to run the country? Who seemed more forceful? Who seemed like the better leader? It's obvious. Okay, I'm done.
So in actuality, it was stated that Biden answered the actual debate questions that Trump did across the board. And yes, the only things that you guys looked at was the aesthetics of who had the most energy, who seemed more lively, X, Y, and Z. And what does it matter when the person is sitting there unable to answer questions that he should be able to answer in the debate? What does it matter if he's sitting up there telling a bunch of lies and talking a bunch of bullshit? And Marty, go look for the mashup of Donald Trump before you want to talk about how Biden comes across. There's a whole mashup. I played it more than once of Donald Trump. Don't even play.
I did that when you said we. I was like, yo, even CNN, MSNBC, all of them after the debate were saying a lot of what we're saying right now.
So they jumped on the story. So what's your point?
No. Jumping on a story is jumping.
They jumped on the story. What's your point? What they did say that Biden answered any questions.
I'm going to say for peace.
Okay, go ahead.
Following that debate, because instantly, oh my God, the American people have been lied to. What we just saw was absolutely atrocious. Buddy was crying on CNN. Black bald guy, I can't remember his name. Buddy was crying. And you're telling me that was a jump on story? No. That was right now. We can't even look at the American people and have the audacity to say, no, he's fine. He'll be okay. No, that's exactly why every single one of those outlets did what they did. Not one outlet was out there trying to defend that shit. The best they were doing was saying that he came, like Kamala did. He came out weak, or he didn't come out the best, or he didn't start off strong, or whatever the words were. But in the end, he